Jess and I are in. We're an 8A contractor, which is a limited term for 9 years. We're doing pretty well with the program, but I know it's limited, so it's a 9-year term. And I'm like, and we've talked from the middle on, like, we got to figure out what we want to do with our future when we're done with this. Because right now we're doing okay. I'm like, but when that 9-year term's done, we're going to lose a lot of our business. Joe actually called me about, I don't know, 4 months ago about this before he even decided to come to your class. And he mentioned this. He goes, "You ever heard about this guy?" I said, "No, I haven't." And then he calls me from down here. I didn't even know he was going because he never told me to register. "You got to come to this." This, I guess, was the first night. "Yo, Shane, I'm telling you, you won't regret it. This is the best thing ever. Oh my God, it's going to change your life." I'm like, "Joe, where the hell are you?" It's like, he comes, I'm down in Texas. I'm at that right miner thing I talked to you about. I said, oh, okay.
Because I knew there was a way to be successful in the government business. And it's kind of a blessing that I found you.
So I'm like, we really got to do this now, or we're going to find ourselves in 3-4 years, high and dry.
Right.
So that was the main purpose for coming down here. Is I'm like, we know a little bit about federal work. Let's see what more we can learn and hopefully gain from this, that we can bid other contracts and start making money where we're not so dependent on the 8A program.
I've been in the construction industry for about 13 years. Out of those 13 years, I started my own business in 2005. We did very well in the 2005, 2007, when the hurricanes hit and stuff like that. We did a lot of private work. Never did commercial. We started with the government, local government work, and we ended up closing the business down because it was pretty hard. So I started my own business about 2.5 years ago. Started catching up on my hundreds of emails, and then I see, normally if I don't get an email for the first time, it just goes into my spam, and I'm like, GC experts on the subject line, and I'm looking at it, what's this? And then I open it up and I see it's a pretty lengthy email. And I'm like, I shoot straight, I guess I clicked on the link and it shot me straight to your website. Right. And I'm looking at it, and this is all happening, like, it all happens in 5 minutes. And I see Eric Morris. I'm like, Eric Morris? I call Eric and I'm like, listen, Eric, it's been a while since we talked. I see that you're giving a testimony on something you went on to Texas about Doug. He's like, yeah. And he's like, and I talked to him about 15 minutes. We were catching up. And then we started talking about you. And he's like, you got to go. It's pretty interesting stuff. It's nothing that I knew about. And I've been in the business for 20, 25 years. I'm sitting down at lunch with a friend of mine who's a contractor. And he's telling me about a specific contract. He's like, I've got this contract. I've had it for 2 months now. And I'm going to the site meeting with this contract with the I don't know if it was an Air Force base, it was a government project. But I couldn't believe what happened. I'm in this meeting and my project manager is telling me that the contracting officer of who he's dealing with sees the contract that is like for $3.4 million. And I'm like, wow, so it's not bad. I was like, well, my contract's only like 1.6. And I've only got 10% on it. So this guy has a guy coming out once or twice a month just checking on this job, and he's making 100% on the contract. He thinks I'm surprised at what he's telling me, but I'm grasping that, the emails, Eric, and what our conversation was about. Right. I was like, I need to come here. I got to see what's going on. So that's what happened. I mean, that's what happened and why I'm here and all we're saying.
I would say the biggest things for me were 2 main factors. I love to talk about delays and overhead and how you factor that in.
Right.
That was huge. We've had come across scenarios like that before and had no idea on how to make that work for us. That was a huge area. Number 2, I think the biggest thing for me, and I think we discussed this briefly, was you two as a resource. That's why we joined the program and the different areas that you offer. That's going to be the biggest thing for us. We run into stuff. We had no one to go.
When we get stuck, we have a resource. We try to bounce it off and learn by the school of hard knocks. And I'm like, but having you two in our back corner, to say, hey man, what would you do in this situation, or just to bounce ideas off, is, to me, is the biggest resource of all.
I've always just been in a mindset where, this is done a certain way, and we look. you know, went through a lot of hard times with legal issues with local municipalities, school boards, and things of that sort. And it's just, the 3 days here is just a different mindset. You know, it's a different mindset of what you're used to and how you do business from a general contracting standpoint, where how to look at things differently. You know, that's my biggest thing. It's just how completely changing the mindset. It took you 20, 30, 40 years gap, and you're literally crunching in 3 days, and at the same time you're saying, hey, you know what, you could have the same knowledge because you could call and bounce these ideas back to me and I'll tell you how to do it. So it's like, in my standpoint, it's like what took you that time, I'm knowing now, and still having the resources like that, you know, my success level could just like skyrocket at that point, you know what I'm saying? So it's, for me, that's the point of view that I'm taking from this whole thing. It's like what it took you. I think it's great that you're teaching it and that I have access to that resource.
Right.
And from now to whenever I decide to stop, I mean, it's infinite at this point for me.
Yeah.
And the last thing I was going to say was you asked what the value was to us at the base of the paper. I just put 2 to 1. And the reason I put that is, to steal one of your lines, nobody can predict the future.
Sure.
I'd love to say, I think I put it in there something to the effect of, hopefully one day it's 500 to 1. I'm telling you, best move I ever made. But until that happens,
Yeah.
you're kind of going to have to see it, you know?
Okay.
So I think it's been an excellent course, learned a lot, no doubt about it.